Ag the Eve August Fáilte. Hi, hello, and welcome to John O'Sullivan, the Irish Pagan School. And I thought I'd pop in and have a little of a chat with you today on my birthday. It is the 16th of August, and I thought today I would give a gift of perspective. And it's it's yeah, if you know me, you know, I think you're probably, if you've been around this YouTube channel, you've been around the Irish Pagan School, or you've been around my books, written by as Anshkeli Biog about the Dagda, and my path of spirituality and healthy masculinity, you kind of know a lot about me at the moment. I'm the talker in the family. Um, but as ever, as I always say, perspective is a very fascinating and very valuable thing. And so today, when there's a lot of focus given towards me, because I'm privileged, I'm honored, I'm delighted that there are so many people all over the world descending into my social media sphere to kind of drop likes, loves, messages to me, and I'm honored by that. I'm humbled by that. I really, really am. But I'm well. It's always a tricky one when there's this kind of dedicated attention towards you. What do you do with that energy? What do you do with that kind of gifted energy that's being sent? For those of us of a spiritual inclination, a magical inclination, like there is an energetic transference or an intentionality that is directed towards someone on their birthday. So, with that in mind, I thought I'd use some of that energy and try and, give it back a little bit in a way and maybe give a gift of perspective. So that's the purpose of this video. If you're here to want to know a little bit more about John, want some insights, and I'll be honest, some of it's going to be a bit rough. And, my intent with this is to speak about the privilege that I have to get old and the privilege I have to, be someone that people look to and listen for and listen to and maybe even learn from. So that's the intent, you know. Aleister Crowley defined magic as the art and science of creating change in accordance with one's will. And I find that fascinating because it's not just about wavy hands, ritual items, you know, ritual words or ritual times of year, anything like that at all. It's about change. It's about altering something in accordance with your will. And your will could also be defined as intent. And so I refer to myself as the Dagda Bard, and I act as a bard for the Dagda, the god of the Tuatha De Danann that I work for, and I tell his stories. But oddly enough, I actually started referring to myself as the Dagda Bard in the beginning, but I didn't really understand what a bard was until the work was already well underway, and that's when the responsibilities arrived. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's track this back a couple of steps. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. I am 41 years old now in the year of 2022. And this is a privilege. This is 100% a privilege. I'm honored to be able to get to not just my fourth decade, but now into my fourth decade of existence in this amazing planet that we live on, and this amazing kind of solar system in which we exist, in this amazing corner, small pinprick of the universe. Oh, no, not even the universe, of the galaxy, because the Milky Way galaxy is so fucking huge, and then to be one of many galaxies in our universe. So it's a minuscule thing when viewed from a certain perspective, but that doesn't mean it's not important. And so to pull all of this back into, the me focus, which I don't like doing. Oh, actually, I should probably clarify. Those of you who are interested in our astrology, will probably already picked up on the fact that if he's the 16th of August and he's 40 in 2021, 41 in 2022, then that means he's bang smack in the middle of the Leo house of astrological circumstances. Now, I find the study fascinating. I'm not an expert in it. I think it's interesting how things inform on us, but I also think that we are a manifestation of our own will at that intent that I mentioned. And so taking astrological influences in is something that, is an opinion. It is something that people can view for themselves or integrate with themselves if they so choose. But that doesn't fully define everything that is each of us. I think there's room for our own will, our own energy to make its presence felt and to make us what we choose to be. So I had a friend of mine, family member actually, I think it was Janet, do an astrological chart for me before. And I didn't understand it. So Janet came down and handed me this piece of paper with a circle on it, which had the different kind of zodiac houses. And then inside that, there was the different kind of planetary bodies. And there was all these dots and lines all over the place. And I'm like, cool, this is fascinating. This is very interesting. And I'm trying to read the information and look into it. And Janet was like, no, John, I'm showing you that one because that one's not you. I'm like, well, why are you showing me someone like why are you not showing me? Like you wanted to do the chart for me. I was like, no, John, I had to show you that one because that's what normally happens. So of course I'm like, what do you mean what normally happens? And then Janet hands me the other piece of paper. And all those dots that are spread out on this first other piece of paper are all down in this one slice of this pie. All of these celestial bodies, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Saturn, all of them are all down in this one area of this pie that says Leo. And so I look at Janet, and Janet's looking at me, and I'm like, so this isn't normal. And Janet's like, I've never seen that ever. I'm like, so this make me the Leoest Leo who ever Leoed, which then became the joke. So if ever I talk about the Leoest Leo, it is based on that astrological story, but I find it's a fascinating story. But oddly, a lot of people are like, well, Leos, they crave attention. They love being center stage. They love being kind of, adored by people and taking in all of that adoration energy and all of that affection. They put themselves center stage. I don't. I do when I need to. There's a benefit to it. There's work that can be done. And okay, sometimes if I'm being playful and I'm in a good mood, then I will probably kind of step into the Leo's Leo position. But a lot of other times I get very uncomfortable when there's a lot of attention directed towards me. As much as I'm an extrovert, I only play an extrovert on TV. I'm quite introverted in my own ways as well. So why is all that relevant? My birthday. A lot of people sending directional intentionality towards me. And you think, well, Leo, he'd absolutely adore that. I do, in a way, but I'm also uncomfortable about it, which is why I wanted to kind of help shift the perspective. If people are going to listen to me on my birthday, people are going to be like, giving John a bit of attention, then I'm going to use the privilege of that to have a conversation about growing old, the privilege of growing old, and hopefully some advice on how to do that gracefully. So why is it a privilege to grow old? There are two names from my past, and I will never forget them, ever. And they were two friends of mine when I was growing up. So it's a privilege to grow old because not many of us do. For various reasons, be it like ill health or be it, societal, circumstantial, cultural influences. There are some really big reasons why not everyone gets to their fourth decade. But for me, when I was growing up, I grew up in a suburb of North Dublin known as Finglas, Dublin 11. And in the 80s, it was pretty rough. It was a pretty rough area. I didn't understand how rough it was until when I was in the Cubs, the Boy Scouts, because it was Boy Scouts initially, and then we got rid of the boy element and said, listen, can't we all just be Scouts? Can't we just be cool? So I was in the Scouts, and I didn't really realize how people viewed the area that I grew up in until I went away, and I was on a Scout camp, and we're meeting with all these other people from around Ireland, and like, oh yeah, where are you from? Oh yeah, we're at Offaly. Where are you lads from? Oh yeah, we're from Portlaoise. And where are you guys? Oh yeah, from Dublin. Oh yeah, well there's another group from Dublin here. Where are you from in Dublin? Yeah, we're at the 76th at a Finglas. People stepped back, standing in the queue for like a little tuck shop thing when we had free time. I was like, oh yeah, me and the lads were from like Finglas. And a guy literally took a physical step back and he's like, all right, lads, like, watch your wallets, is what he actually said, But there was this underlying thing of like, you don't fuck with people from Finglas. So that was an insightful experience for me. I was always raised by my parents. It's how you're raised, not where you're raised. So growing up as a kid, I took a lot of beatings because I didn't speak like a North Side Dublin, like heavy with their story, how's it going accent. I can put it on, I can mimic it, usually to stop myself getting bed up when I was a kid. But I didn't speak the same way other people spoke. My parents went out of the way to like make sure that I spoke properly, correctly. And it has suited me very well for most of my life, if not all of it. But I'm getting off track. Um, there's two people who I will always remember because they did not get to grow old. They didn't get the privilege that I have achieved of getting beyond their second decade by much. I one of them earlier. It was a rough area where I grew up. Of the 30 kids I was in class with, a good chunk of them ended up in prison because of economical circumstances, because of cultural circumstances. And a good number of them took their own lives. And these are the two names I will never forget because they were my friends. There's a saying that exists all around the world. Um, that which remembers lives on. And so Shane Leader was a good friend of mine from when I was in the Cubs into the Scouts. And Gavin Claxton was a good friend of mine from school. Shane was funny. Shane was very popular. He was very funny. He was the person who always kind of had people hanging around him just to be around him because he was that funny. Now, John, when he was in Cubs and Scouts, was not the funny one. He was the quiet one. Remember, see earlier comments about introversion. But in my moments, I was funny. And Shane caught those moments. Shane knew I was funny. Even though he was loud funny and ongoing funny, in those small gaps, noodles, as they called me, was funny. Gavin was very popular. He was the popular kid in school. He was the kid who was always late starting school, no, not late getting to school. Like, he was always punctual, really hot, top of the class, very smart, very intelligent. But he was always late starting school because his family went away on holiday at the end of August, start of September. So, he would always come back from foreign lands with amazing stories and, great experiences and fruit from different places around the world. First time I ever saw a red banana was because Gavin Claxton brought it back into school for show and tell, or a mango, or an avocado. So Gavin and Shane never saw 30. Both of them had a lot going for them. For them, it wasn't an economical circumstance. It wasn't a cultural well, it might have been a cultural circumstance. It was about boys being told to man up was about guys being told not to cry. It was about a society of people who were not allowed to feel. We're not allowed to feel anything other than anger. Now, I've talked about it before. Like, if you've been around me for these videos, if you've been around me for any of the other content that I do, or the work I do with the Dagda, talking about the three strains of music, the ancient Irish mythology, where the Dagda plays these three magical strains of music, one that helps people weep, one that helps people laugh and joy, and another that helps them to rest and to sleep. The Galtre, the Giantre, and the Soontre are their names. Those have taught me, studying that mythology, studying like the work with the Dagda, has taught me to embrace and accept all of my emotions. And it's only probably because I had such a good groundwork of family acceptance at home and conversations with my dad, who is my dad's ex-army, medical discharge from the army. When he was in his 30s, and big family home, like four siblings, four siblings. So of five of us, I am four of five. I'm the second youngest. Carmel worked really, really hard. Like, worked as a cleaner in AIB branches in Dublin city centre, up and gone first thing in the morning, home and back, working second jobs to kind of keep all of us in school and going on and engaging. And she baked me cakes on my birthday. She told me it was okay to cry. And my dad taught me to survive, how to step up and how to use the voice that I have, how to use, my mind, my intellect for right reasons, for good reasons. And just because I have physicality and physical strength doesn't mean I use it for my own ends. I use it for other people, to protect other people, to care for other people. Jack served his country. He joined the United Nations as a peacekeeper, using his strength to protect others. So I often wonder about Gavin and Shane. Um, why was it not okay for them to express their emotions? Why did it bottle up inside them? Why did they get caught? Why did they get hung up in, you know, toxic vices in order to feel stuff and express stuff, and then to eventually not be capable of feeling anything anymore and ending their lives? Separately, independently, Gavin never knew Shane. Shane never knew Gavin. These are two people in my life, two people who were the same age as me, who didn't get to where I am. That which is remembered lives on. I heard about Gavin through his mammy. In fact, I heard about Gavin through my mammy because his mammy ran into my mammy, and she was asking after me. She's like, "Oh, how's your John? How's your Jonathan?" You know, look, Gavin always talked a lot about him. Gavin, always, had a lot of time for Jonathan growing up. And then she told my mum how Gavin took his own life because there was no mental health support. There was no acknowledgement of mental health concerns in the 90s and into the early noughties. There was too much of a culture of silence and coping when it came to men's mental health and emotional well-being. That code of silence has a body count, not just my friends. Far too many people. Because we've been told it's not okay to cry. We've been told that if we're soft or gentle, then we're a pussy and we're weak. We're told that if we're not aggressive and dominant, then we're a victim. If we're told not to beat up, if we're told that we don't, if we're told if we refuse to fight back, then we get hit harder. Now, I'm not here saying I'm great and I'm perfect and it's fantastic because I'm here and I survived. No, there were times I didn't, almost didn't. I too came very, very close. Period in my life where I refer to as the dark times. Period in my life when I was estranged from all of my friends, all of my family, because of an imbalanced and toxic relationship. Now, I don't know. I'm working from a place of forgiveness, but I won't forget. I can't. I was always told that love is giving. You know, like section from the Bible that appears in everyone's fucking Catholic wedding stuff. Love is patient, love is kind. Whichever letter from your man A to people B. I grew up with love being giving. And so for me, I thought you give. You keep giving. You always give. I didn't understand that not everyone had the same love language at that point. And so for some, love is taking. When you get a giving person and a taking person, and the taking person doesn't give and the giving person doesn't take, well, then you end up in an imbalanced relationship. And so it wasn't great. I'm grateful that it broke. I'm grateful that, you know, there was no ongoing negative impacts in the long term. I got the dog. I've talked about Russell before. But the dark times is what I call it, where I couldn't process my emotions. I hadn't been given the skills, I hadn't been given the tools to even acknowledge my emotions safely and openly. And so, yeah, I broke. I absolutely broke. And I engaged in alcohol to numb my pain, to help me kind of move beyond the lack of feeling. Because that's what it was. It was a hollowness, an emptiness, because my emotions were supposed to fit in that spot. But my emotions were devoid of me. They had been pushed outside of me so far and so distant that there was nothing. And so I filled that void with alcohol. Not my best moments, not my shiniest of moments. But over time, all of that hollowness broke and the flood of emotion arrived. And the ones that I recognized most were the ones that I'd been trained to recognize most, which was anger. But oddly, my anger programming came up against my dad protect other people programming. We don't use our strength to hurt, we use our strength to protect. And so no one knew I was hurt. No one knew I was angry. Everyone was kept nice and safe, nice and away. And so John hurt himself. Again, not my shiniest moment. Now, I'm not going to say use of intoxicants is good or bad. You know, the way I did self harm was rather blunt and it wasn't the smartest. Um, but I was always cautious. So I'm not going to say that's good or bad. To be honest, I'm not going to advocate either which way. What I'm going to say is that those things are symptoms that come from a problem. The problem is people who are not trained not given the skill set, not given the ability to acknowledge emotion, the language to process emotion, and the safety to be emotional and to have that be okay. So I survived. Came close, but I bound myself with a pinky swear to someone a long time ago, long time ago. And that has helped them. And it has also helped me. The pinky swear of no shortcuts. Keep going. Figure out what's over the next hill. You never know. Turn the next page of the book. The next chapter could be entirely fucking different. You never know. Don't give up. I exist on this pinky finger. And so I am oathbound. Well, it's an oath that saved my life. I know it's an oath that saved their life too. So I didn't end up like Gavin. I didn't end up like Shane. I got beyond some of the worst part of my existence, my own personal hell, and I came out the other side. You know what I found? My family never gave up on me. And the friends that really mattered were still there. The people who matter to us will always still be there. And the people we matter to will always still be there. So I am privileged to get old. 41. So getting old is only part of it. Like, everyone ages. That's the clock. We're breathing towards an aging circumstance. That is the beauty that is a finite existence. And I've explored the idea of immortality with it myself, from a scientific point of view, from a cultural point of view, from a mythological point of view, talking to my deity, the Dagda that I work for. It says in the story that he died, by the way. I don't know if you know that one, actually. Um, the Dagda ruled in Ireland for 80 years after Lugh, who ruled for 40 years. And that was post the Second Battle of Moytura, the Cat Moytura. So Second Battle of Moytura versus the Fomorians. Big fucking bust up. Lugh takes over kingship. He rules for 40 years. After he goes, Dagda rules for 80 years. And it's the Dagda's grandchildren that are ruling Ireland when the Milesians, the Gaels are descended from, arrive into Ireland. So that's 120 years, 80 plus 40, 120 years post the Battle of Moytura. But it says the Dagda took a wound. The Dagda took a mortal wound in the Battle of Moytura by a Fomorian warrior. She got into him and she gave him a mortal wound. Took 120 years for the fucker to die, though. And even then, they go into the Hollow Hills, they go into the other world, the Aeshe. They become the Aeshe. And immortality, deity. So I've explored the idea of immortality with him. And to be honest, I'll stay finite. Thank you very much. I like John O'Sullivan. It's been a long while, a long road to get to the point that I can sit here on my birthday to you and say that I like me. A lot of people know me as the Dagda guy. I'm very clear as well, by the way. I'm just the Dagda bard. I'm the guy who tells the stories. I'm not here to stand between you and the god. If you want to deal with him direct, have a conversation with him direct. I encourage it. He's a good lad. Will help you out. So a lot of people have been like, yeah, you're the Dagda guy, and like, you so much embody Dagda energy and the healthy masculinity and fatherhood. Even though I'm not a biological dad, I'm a father. I'm not a biological father. I'm a dad. I've always been that for many people. There's a lot of people looking at me. It's like, yeah, absolutely tagged in. Would you believe that's only in the last decade? If I had not made it through the dark times, if I had not kept going, pushed on, turned up anyway, if I had chosen to give up, if I'd chosen anything other than let's see what's on the other side, let's turn the next page and see what happens anyway. Like, fuck it, let's see what's happened. Let's just keep going. We never know. I wouldn't be this. I would never have met Laura. I would never met the people who, my our eldest calls me dad. Um, never would have met him. I never would have met you, all of you. I never would have written the books that are out. I never would have taught any of the classes. I never would have got to explore and to grow through the Irish mythology, through my relationship with an Irish deity, through my relationship with my community. I never would have got to use the voice and my programming to protect and to help people if I'd have given up, or if I had ignored the assistance that I had in friends and family to help me to carry on. People look at me and they're like, oh, yeah, well, you must have had dags around you your entire life. That's entirely possible. But it's only in the last 10 years that I have actually opened my ears and my emotions enough to perceive them and to have these conversations and to do this work. So that is a gift of perspective, if you choose it to be, because it is down to your choice, down to your will. Remember, change, change in accordance with one's will. I'm privileged to grow old. I'm privileged in a society where we have medicine to support me. You know, yes, I take antidepressants when I need them. Absolutely. I take inhalers for my asthma. I'm privileged to have access to medicine. I'm privileged to have access to housing. I'm privileged to have access to safety, security, the ability to, start and run and grow a business. All of this is an honor and a privilege. So on this day, my birthday, happy birthday to me, when a lot of people are looking and sending this intention of energy towards me, I would like to send some intention of energy out. I don't know who you are. I don't know where you are. But if this video has reached you, if my words at any point from now into the far distant future have found you, you're not alone. You might feel that way. It might be hard. It might be difficult. Probably will be. But I have found through hard work and experience that we rarely get challenges we're not built for. And sometimes it's a matter of changing our perspective. If we don't have it inside ourselves alone, the answer is near us. The answer is available. We just need to be willing to be brave enough to be open. And yeah, being open means you might get hurt. But as I've said to our youngest, until his eye rolls get so extensive, pain is temporary. Glory is forever. And what is more glorious to existence than you? Whoever you are. You're a unique expression of humanity. From your unique fingertips and like fingerprints to like the genetic makeup that makes you, you are one in a couple of million genetic combination between two parents to just biologically manifest you into existence. And that's only your physical form. That's not the energy that makes up you as well. Every single one of us is a story. And if we're curious enough, and if we're brave enough, if we're willing to keep turning the pages, not every story is an epic saga that's going to be huge. Some stories are shorter, but that doesn't mean it's any less valuable. Whoever you are one in a billion chance to be you, one in billions of people in your country, in our planet, which is one of billions of planets in our galaxy. Change your perspective. You are magical. You're a manifestation out of chaos and out of potentiality to make you unique. And that is glorious. So embrace the struggles. They hurt, but it can't hurt forever. It won't hurt forever. Keep going. Don't give up. I've said it to Laura, and we've run in against those tough times ourselves since we've known each other. And I was like, we can't fail. She's like, of course we can fail. This could go wrong, that could go wrong. And I was like, no, no, no. Things can go wrong, but the only way we will ever fail is if we give up. Anything else is a challenge. Anything else might be a setback. Anything else might be, a difficulty or a hurt or a pain or an obstacle. But it's not something that's defines you forever. The sun is going to rise tomorrow. Our little orb, our little planet is going to rotate around again within the next 24 hours, and there's going to be a sunset and a sunrise. Every day is a new opportunity to turn a page and find the next thing. Who knows? The longer you stick around, the more magical you might become. The more aware, the more comfortable you get to the point of being no longer afraid. Young John was very afraid. He was. If there was any emotion that defined John O'Sullivan in those early years in Pinglas, it would be fear. Thankfully, not at home. That was joy. Outside of home, fear. Here I am, 41 today, 4 decades on. Fear doesn't rule me anymore. I had to come through all of it. I had to face all of the dark times and realize that, at some point, curiosity outweighs it. Love outweighs it. I love my son. I love my family. I love my partner. I love my parents. I love my siblings. I love my friends. I love my dog. I love the snake. I love my community. I love the work I do. I love you. All of you. Yeah. Here's a 40-year-old, like middle-aged white guy in the internet saying that he loves everybody. Doesn't mean I don't get frustrated with people. Doesn't mean that I don't have different opinions with people. But love should define things more. Now I'm getting soppy and idealistic. And of course, the programming in the back of the brain is like, oh, you're just saying that you love people. What are you, gay? It's like, no, actually, I'm heterosexual by preference, but just because you love someone doesn't mean it's sexual and doesn't mean it's anything other than that. All love is love, and everyone is entitled to love, and everyone should be like capable of being open to love of themselves, and then love outside of themselves. It's the way to grow. It's the way to grow old and hopefully grow old gracefully. So I've made an agreement with myself. I've made an agreement with myself in that I now have white hairs in my beard. They're over here. You can probably see them. Everyone says Leos are vain, all about the looks. And okay, I take pride in my appearance. I think it's important to take pride in some aspect of your physicality. Find something about your physical form that you love. So I've decided I'm not going to pull my white hairs anymore. Not going to pluck any white hairs in my beard or in my head. What few of them have been turning up. Because I have the privilege of growing old. And it's not something that everyone gets. So thank you. Thank you very, very much to all of you who are expressing your connection with me today. Now, again, this isn't me fishing for anyone to like. I'm not looking for more happy birthday energy. As I said earlier, I'm uncomfortable about it. Hands on the fucking table here, folks. I'm a little bit uncomfortable by it, but I'm also humbled by it. There are so many people who want to express an affection for me in their existence, even if it's meeting them that one time at a conference, if it's reading that one story blog post, catching that YouTube video, taking one of the classes, or being someone in my circles of friends who I've sat down and shot the shit with, or played frisbee with, or like fucking ran around, had dinners, had meals, went to matches, went to movies with. Even if it was all of those decades ago and we don't see each other anymore and we don't talk to each other anymore, there are still people who on this day reach out, send a message, pop into the social media, and send their congratulations to me for another year, another continuance of my existence. So, happy birthday to me. And hopefully, the gift of some perspective to you. Your journey isn't written. There is no final, like, volume that defines you. You get to change. You get to grow. It's one of the most amazing and unique and fascinating things about us as a species from an evolutionary point of view, as a people from a cultural, economical, like national identity point of view, as a community or a locality or a smaller tribe point of view, as a family and like close units point of view, and then as an individual, as a person. We're not defined fully the moment we're manifest into this world. We can change. We have the power to, we have the ability to manifest magic in our own life by creating change in accordance with our will. So, again, if I'm a middle aged white man, thanks, patriarchy, everyone listens to me, then listen to me. Change because you can. Love because there's no harm in that. And lastly, don't give up. You never know what tomorrow's going to bring. So, Gaurav Mahagas, thank you very, very much. I'm honored. I'm privileged. I'm delighted to have spent all of this time with you there today. And who knows? Maybe I'll see you this time again next year for another chat. Slán and goodbye.